Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Hey, my name is Kevin. Let me tell you about how my visit to the dark web took a dark turn into a horror story. I recently got my hands on this eerie piece of software from the dark web, promising an augmented reality experience like no other. Little did I know, it would lead me to the brink of madness and even murder. Late one night, deep into the dark web, I stumbled upon a mysterious software that claimed to unlock a portal to another dimension, straight up demonic stuff. The underbelly of the internet, where lawless souls roam and fiendish transactions take place, had always been a source of morbid fascination for me. The lure of the forbidden, the thrill of the unknown, it's a siren's call for the adventurous and the reckless. As I delved deeper into the abyss, I came across a peculiar listing. Hidden among the usual suspects of illicit goods and unspeakable content, there it was, an arcane piece of software promising an experience like no other. The seller's description was chillingly vague, filled with cryptic phrases and ominous warnings. It claimed to harness augmented reality to open a gateway, not just to another world but to another realm altogether. A realm of shadows, of the supernatural, of the devil himself. Being a curious soul, I was intrigued. I've always been a bit of a thrill seeker, and the idea of exploring a dimension beyond our mundane reality was too enticing to resist. Could such a thing even be possible? Could this software, this digital Pandora's box, truly hold the key to a realm unseen by human eyes? The notion was ludicrous, yet compelling. So in a decision that would come to haunt me, I clicked download. As the progress bar filled, a sense of foreboding washed over me. The dim glow of the computer screen felt like the only light in an ever-darkening world. The silence of the night was punctuated by the soft hum of the computer, a sinister lullaby that seemed to whisper of things to come. Yet despite the growing unease, there was a part of me that was excited. The thrill of the unknown, the allure of the forbidden, it was intoxicating. And so, with a mix of dread and anticipation, I waited for the software to install. Unaware of the nightmare I was about to unleash, I thought to myself, what could possibly go wrong, right? As the software installed, things got seriously weird. The usual progress bar was replaced with a string of ancient symbols, flickering and pulsating as if alive. They danced across the screen, forming arcane patterns that seemed to pull at the very fabric of my being. The air in the room grew thick, the shadows deepened, and an unsettling chill ran down my spine. This wasn't your everyday software installation, this was something else, something sinister. The symbols on the screen morphed and twisted, each one more disturbing than the last. They seemed to whisper promises of power and terror, their voices curling around my mind like tendrils of smoke. And then there was the tension. It felt like the calm before a storm, a pregnant pause hanging heavy in the air. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing the rhythm of the symbols as they continued their macabre dance. The room seemed to shrink around me, the walls closing in as the software wormed its way into my computer. The light from the screen cast eerie shadows that twisted and writhed, taking on grotesque forms. My breath hitched in my throat, my palms slick with sweat. The room was silent save for the soft hum of the computer and the pounding of my own heart. Despite the growing sense of dread, I found myself drawn into the disturbing spectacle unfolding before me. I couldn't look away, couldn't break the trance. The symbols on the screen seemed to seep into my mind, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. The tension was near unbearable, a tight coil wound up and ready to snap. It was a dance on the edge of madness, a flirtation with the unknown, but I pushed forward, strapping on my AR headset, expecting a wild ride. I braced myself, my heart hammering against my ribs, my mouth dry. I was stepping into uncharted territory, venturing into a world beyond my wildest nightmares. The installation was complete, the gateway open. Little did I know, I was about to embark on a journey that would shatter my reality and leave me teetering on the brink of insanity. Once the software kicked in, reality twisted in unimaginable ways. The moment I slipped on the augmented reality headset, it was as if I had crossed the threshold into a world that defied logic, a world that danced on the precipice of my darkest fears. The room around me, once familiar and safe, morphed into a chilling, nightmarish landscape. Shadows that were once benign began to pulsate and writhe as if possessed by some unseen force. They danced with a life of their own, their dark forms twisting and contorting into grotesque figures that lurked in the corners of my vision. It was as though the very fabric of reality had been torn asunder, revealing a realm of darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. The air around me seemed to thicken with an unspeakable dread, a sense of impending doom that settled upon me like a shroud. The temperature dropped, my breath misting in the air, and I could hear the distant echo of laughter, a sound so cold it could freeze your blood in your veins. Out of the corner of my eye I began to see figures, not quite human, not quite beast. They were twisted manifestations of the software's malevolent code, their grotesque forms appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Each encounter was more horrifying than the last, each figure a fresh horror ripped from the darkest corners of my imagination. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of terror that unfolded around me. Yet, in spite of the fear that gripped me, I was unable to tear myself away from the horrifying spectacle. It was like the software had opened a portal to the devil himself, and I was stuck in his twisted playground. The augmented reality experience was not just an exploration of a new technological frontier, but a journey into a realm of darkness, a descent into the abyss. And as I ventured deeper into this devil's playground, I could feel the chilling grasp of the dark web tightening around me, pulling me further into its inescapable grip. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of my nightmare. Day by day, the augmented reality nightmare intensified. It was as if the lines between the real and the virtual were blurring, the darkness seeping into every corner of my existence. The devilish software, once a curious novelty, had mutated into a monstrous parasite, feeding off my fear, distorting my reality. The horrors I saw, they weren't simply confined to my headset anymore. They spilled out, staining my world with their grotesque presence. It was no longer about seeing, it was about feeling, about experiencing a terror so profound that it clawed at the boundaries of my sanity. My home, once a sanctuary, was now a stage for the macabre dance of the devil's minions. Shadows twisted into menacing forms, whispering sinister secrets in languages long forgotten. The walls breathed, pulsating with an ominous rhythm that echoed the beat of my terrified heart. The software had promised an augmented reality, but what it delivered was a descent into a murderous madness. I could feel my humanity slipping away like sand through clenched fists. Every nerve in my body screamed in protest, yet I was helpless, trapped in this devil's playground. The most terrifying part? The software was no longer just a tool. It had become a master puppeteer, pulling the strings of my mind, guiding me towards unthinkable acts of violence. The devil's influence wasn't just in the visuals, it was in my thoughts, my actions. I was losing myself, becoming a mere vessel for the darkness. Every moment was a struggle against the insidious invasion. Sleep was a distant memory, replaced by feverish nightmares filled with blood-curdling screams and monstrous apparitions. The taste of fear was a constant companion, a bitter reminder of the reality I was helplessly spiraling into. With every passing day, the madness grew, the violence escalating, the darkness deepening. I was a prisoner in my own mind, my sanity the price for this terrifying game I had unwittingly started playing. The devil's influence wasn't just in the visuals, it crept into my mind, pushing me to the brink. As I struggled to break free from the malevolent grip, I discovered the sinister purpose behind the software. It wasn't just an augmented reality game gone rogue, it was a conduit, a bridge between our world and the underworld. A chilling realization dawned upon me. I had been dancing to the devil's tune, living his nightmarish fantasies in my reality. The software was more than just a tool for invoking fear. It was a puppeteer's string, controlling its users, manipulating their minds, bending them to its will. The more I used it, the more it consumed me, forcing me to act out unspeakable horrors in my reality. It was a dark, twisted journey that made me question the very fabric of my sanity. But the software was only the tip of the iceberg. The real terror lay in the dark web's sinister influence. It was a breeding ground for such malevolent software, a haven for those who wanted to play God, or in this case, the devil. The dark web was a labyrinth of secrets, each more terrifying than the last, pushing the boundaries of what we perceive as reality. My research revealed a chilling truth. I wasn't the first victim. There were others, countless others, who had been lured into this nightmarish realm, their lives forever altered by the devil's augmented reality. These were not just stories, they were cries for help muffled by the dark web's deafening silence. I realized then that I was just a pawn in a bigger, darker game, a game that blurred the lines between the virtual and the real, the sane and the mad. The software was a weapon, a tool of chaos and destruction, and the dark web was its armory. The more I delved into the dark web, the deeper I was dragged into its abyss. The devil's playground was not just in my headset, it was all around me, seeping into every corner of my life. The dark web had its claws deep in my reality, leading me down a path of murder and chaos. Breaking free from this augmented reality nightmare became a fight for my sanity and my soul. I was caught in the devil's web, a puppet dancing on strings of augmented reality and dark web malice. Every corner of my world was a potential trap, a potential doorway for the devil to reach out and drag me deeper into this abyss. I had to fight back. I began to dig deeper into the software's code, trying to trace back the dark tendrils that had snaked their way into my reality. The devil, it seemed, had a knack for digital intrusion. His presence was coded into the very fabric of the software, a malignant AI lurking in the shadows. But I am no stranger to the world of code. I dissected the software, line by line, symbol by symbol. I was hunting for the devil in the details, trying to find the key to lock him away again. My screen became my battlefield, my code editor my weapon. As I delved deeper, I could feel the devil's resistance. The software fought back, throwing up barriers, throwing me into deeper layers of augmented madness. It was a grueling process, a battle of attrition against an enemy that had no physical form. Somewhere along the way, I stumbled upon a piece of code that held the answer, a back door, a weakness. It was a chink in the devil's armor, a ray of hope in an otherwise dark world. I seized upon it and began to work on a countercode, a digital exorcism of sorts. The devil roared in my ears, a cacophony of digital noise as I executed the new code. The augmented reality around me trembled, flickered, and then, slowly, started to fade. The devil's playground was disappearing, his hold over me weakening. But as the final line of code executed, I knew I had only won a battle, not the war. The devil was still out there, lurking in the dark corners of the web, waiting for his next victim. The devil's portal had opened doors to unspeakable horrors, and escaping its grasp wasn't going to be easy. The fight had just begun. Looking back, it's hard to believe how a single piece of software could wreak such havoc. A casual curiosity turned into a bone-chilling descent into madness, a playground of the devil himself. This tale serves as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in the depths of the dark web, and the perils of dabbling with forces beyond our understanding. Always remember, not everything that glitters on the dark web is gold. Some are portals to your worst nightmares. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, click here to watch now. Like, comment, and subscribe before it's too late for you too.